Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Happy New Year for those of you way across the pond. I know that you are already celebrating, especially over in Australia, New Zealand, everywhere over there. So, actually, shoot, hold on a second. Let me just make sure that this is all working properly because the chat didn't pull up here. But here we go. Here we go. Okay. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope you had a great Christmas. And we're going to get into this video. Some of you asked me in All Signs live chat to do this video. So I sat with it. And I was already kind of getting nudges to do something along this line. So 2022. I've got a few messages for you on what kind of a theme, some messages about what to expect, and also advice, I guess, has come through. Hello, Suiterbug and Noctua Rising. Thank you for modding for me. Before I get started, guys, I just want to let you know that last night, well, all day yesterday and into the evening, I had to pull myself away from my computer because I was working on new merchandise for my store. And I was just having so much fun with it. So if any of you are interested, I've put a whole boatload of new merch. And I'm going to add more into the merch store. And the link for that is in the description below. But I put in some t-shirts and sweatshirts that say, you have just entered my energy field, prepare to awaken, which I love, and some hats that say 5D vibes, a coffee mug that says 5D potency. So, you know, when you're drinking your morning rituals. Anyways, there's a bunch of stuff in there. If you're interested, you can go there and check it out. I've already put in an order, so I can't wait to wear some of that on the channel. All right, 2022. Transcending through the 0 point is pretty much the main message that has come through for me, at least when I've sat with the energies. And I think the first thing I want to address here is 2022. It's a number 6 year, right? 2020 was a 4, 2021 was a 5, and I think we all understand that, you know, 5, the number 5 represents the energy of change. It often also represents hardships, just because we don't really do well with change. And there were a lot of changes that took place in 2021. 2022, though, as a 6 number, which is kind of really beautiful when I look at it after the messages that I received, was that the 6 represents unity. It represents harmony. It represents loving relationships, also domestic happiness, compassion. And when I think of the 6 number, we often, when we look at Nikola Tesla's 369 manifestation, which again, the manifestation has come through big for this particular message, is that I always see the 6 as the unity. It is the 0 point in many ways. It connects the 3D realms. When we look at number 3 can represent like the earth plane, right? And then we look at 9 as representing like the higher realms. And then the 6 is where we merge the two and we utilize both in harmony. So the number 6, just even from a Nikola Tesla point of view, when we talk about manifestation, when we're in that harmonious place and we're also in a very unified place, this is when we can truly manifest what it is that is of our higher desires, things that our higher self is guiding us towards. So one of the questions that I think is important for us to all ask ourselves as we move into 2022 is, what am I really manifesting? And look back at the last couple of years where we've had an incredible amount of change, which I do want to say there's going to be more change coming in with 2022. It's not necessarily going to be, I want to say, an easier year per se, although I think it's got a lot of potential for it, it's just going to depend on each of our choices in how we work with it. So the big question here for 2022 is, what am I really manifesting? And really look like, what did I manifest? Where did all my energy go to? What was I producing through my own thoughts, through my own actions, through my belief systems? Where was I pouring my energy into the most? And was it productive? Was it helpful? Did beautiful things come out of it? Or did I kind of lose momentum? Because I feel like 2020 and 2021 have kind of been 2 years that have in many ways worked our higher consciousness potential through derailment. Like we get caught up in so much of the drama and so much of the narrative that is constantly fluctuating and changing. You just can't keep up with this stuff, and nor should any of us ever aspire to keep up with any of it. So let me give you one of the big messages that came in here. Let me just pull it up here. This is one of the main messages that came in download that I received. The most beneficial solution will almost always be one you couldn't imagine. It must transcend the field where the problem lies. Therefore, you must transcend the field of awareness you are in to meet the solution your higher self desires. So, and this can be tricky because our mind is pretty certain, given, all of the things that perhaps we are reading about, whether they're, helpful books or just kind of, narrative pushing information, whatever it might be, we can come up with these ideas that we think we know where the solution lies. But truly, from my experience and what I've kind of learned over this last couple of years, it's becoming more and more apparent to me, is that so often the solution that I think might be really helpful is nowhere even close to the potential of a solution that's probably going to blindside me with like, whoa, didn't see that one coming. And I think that's where we have to, that's why transcending through the 0 point is so important for 2022, because if we're truly looking for solutions to the problems, we can't stay in the same frequency field where the problems are existing. And we can't communicate solutions with the same kind of awareness that created those problems, right? We all know this. And so how do we remove ourselves from that lower field of awareness that is still in the muckiness of the problem and truly allow a much higher solution, one again that the mind likely cannot conjure up? This would come in like a download. It would come in through an epiphany, a flash of awareness. And I see the potential of this epiphany and flash of awareness for 2022 coming in various forms for many of us. It's going to require, though, the ability to pull yourself out of a lot of the lower frequency drama that is constantly being pushed upon us, and that, I'll be honest, can be very addicting if we're not careful, if we're not mindful of how we're spending our energy. So what else came through was reclamation of power awaits those ready to claim it and harness it. Now, this is interesting because, I've been a huge proponent of sovereignty and finding and discovering your own personal power, knowing what that power is, standing in it. But we are still seeing a lot of fear controlling our own sovereignty. Fear is probably the number one thing that hijacks our own personal power. And we can unconsciously and subconsciously find ourselves slipping into fear through a variety and myriad of different reasons, which would be our subconscious patterning from our childhood, a lot of the beliefs that we've learned growing up. It could be from narratives that we're pouring a lot of our energy into, that sometimes if we pour too much energy into, we fall into the polarity of that narrative and we're not able to see, again, higher solutions. So what is the potential? So what happens is reclamation of power, I truly believe that there's going to be a opportunity through this year for those who are ready to claim it of manifesting higher desires that will completely reshape and reform your life in ways you would have never even imagined from your own mind. The problem is that in order to harness that power, you have to pull it back from the grips of fear. And that doesn't mean, and I want to make this very clear, that you can't, just because you don't like something or you don't want something in your life or you don't agree with it, doesn't mean you have to be scared of it. You can still disagree. You can still say that is not something for me, but you do not need to fear it. And we're getting pulled into a lot of different fear narratives over the last 2 years of 2020 and 2021. And I think that those fear narratives are actually going to be amped up even further. Now, I think we're starting to see through some of the BS of these narratives coming from both sides because they're just not resonating. When you're doing your healing work and you're really tuning in to your own heart field, what is true for you, as you align with more of your truths, you start to really realize that some of the stuff just doesn't jive with you anymore. It doesn't. And I think that there's going to be a theme of that through 2022. Now, I've also, on the piggybacking on the reclamation of power, awaiting those ready to claim it and harness it, I also received this message: extreme greatness is available for those ready to leave the extremities. Hence why we need to transcend through the 0 point in order to manifest more greatness through 2022. I truly believe that we can completely transmute this reality. We can totally shift it and alchemize it. But in order to do that, we've got to find the middle ground. We've got to understand the 0 point field. Now, the 0 point field is where we are, it's a portal, right? The 0 point field is a portal into a completely new timeline. It's a portal into a completely new reality. So why would we spend so much time in the nature of extremities? Doesn't mean that you can't learn something there, but you don't want to get stuck there. You don't want to start hovering at the very edges of polarity for too long, because then it almost becomes like a vacuum where you get sucked into that. So with the 0 point, knowing that the 0 point, feel the 0 point energy is our portal into higher timelines. This is where we have to really get honest with ourselves about, where am I too polarized? Where have I given my power away to an extremity within this polarity? And why? Why did I do that? Do I receive comfort? I think one of the reasons that this is happening right now, from what my perspective is showing me, is that, when you go through an awakening process, you are desperately seeking other souls, other people who can help you understand what it is you're going through. And as you start to find more like-minded souls and you start to resonate with all of that, it can feel very comforting. And I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's a necessary part of the journey. It's so crucial to have support while you're going through what, the awakening is very tumultuous in many ways. At least it has moments of it. And I think what happens is that we get caught in a confirmation bias scenario where we start to lose touch with reality, in a sense of the higher reality. And so when we lose touch with that reality because we're too busy wanting to be surrounding ourselves with yes people to our experiences and to what we are learning and all of that, it can get a little too echo chamber-ish. And I've seen that happen a lot within well, let's just both sides of the narrative, okay? It doesn't matter really, whatever polarity you find yourself existing in. If you're finding yourself too far over, it could be because perhaps there was a lot of comfort in finding that, you know what, this person is saying exactly what I feel is the right thing, and this person is saying it, and that person is saying it, and all these people in the community are saying it, so it must be right. And this can be a really big trap that all of us fall into, myself included. And we have to be a little bit more aware of, am I thinking for myself? Am I truly going through the information, or am I looking for confirmation bias to something that makes me feel better? It makes me feel safe. It makes me feel good about myself and what I'm experiencing. It makes me feel like I'm on the right side of history. That is a big one that I've seen, where we're constantly looking for information, regardless if it's true or not. Who knows how the person got the information that they did? You know, whether it's a good source, a not good source, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. What really matters is, are you just checking in with yourself? Are you checking in with yourself? And is this information truly pulling you further and further into a polarity? Or is it giving you the information that allows you to sit in a place of neutrality to start ascertaining, what is it that you want right now? What is it that you want to create? Because this is a really crucial time that we're in humanity. Very crucial time. And this is the reason why timelines are fluctuating. And I got this message as well. Timelines are dependent on choice. Free will causes timelines to be in constant fluctuation, especially right now. So as our timelines are constantly fluctuating, you know, where are we contributing to that fluctuation? Allowing for stability of a timeline would be finding that neutrality, right? Finding the 0 point field so that we can start moving into that timeline and start crystallizing it, spending more time. The more time you're neutral, or then moving from neutral into higher frequencies of awareness that are encompassing of the whole, right? Not trying to cause more separation, because that's what the ego likes to do. Then we're finally able to be in a very powerful position to start truly creating what it is that we want. Okay, so I also got this message that being able to see the polarities existing within the one and not as separate entities will be very beneficial to those of us, to all of us, going through 2022. This is going to be a very big theme, and the other message is just be one with yourself. Find that oneness within yourself where you can be whole. You can embrace all aspects of yourself. It will help contribute to the wholeness of this entire experience that we're trying to shift through. Okay, what else? Okay, I'm gonna start here. I also got this vision of a deer in headlights, and I heard truths will come at lightning speeds, taking many by surprise to the point of paralysis, not knowing what to do. This will be a theme for 2022. All right, let me read that again. Truths will come at lightning speeds, taking many by surprise to the point of paralysis, not knowing what to do. So this is what happens, and this is why I'm, offering some of these suggestions for 2022, trying to transcend through the 0 point, is the further into the polarities you are resonating in, that you are finding yourself in, the harsher a truth will appear. And when a truth appears that is jarring to your current reality of one extreme or the other, it can cause cognitive dissonance. It can also cause your ego. This is why I did a reel on this on my Instagram channel. It can cause your ego to believe that this new truth, this seed of light, okay, because our consciousness is constantly being seeded with light. Okay, we're getting new information, but what the ego will convince you of is that these are seeds of darkness. And the reason why is because the ego gets very uncomfortable when everything that it believed, or I should say, tried to convince you that was true, is now unraveling and showing itself as an illusion, or at least even a partial illusion. And this makes the ego very, very uncomfortable. This is not a safe place for the ego. And so what it will do is, like many of us will do in any situation, is it will project by saying, no, 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 no. Our truth are the true seeds of light. This is the seed of darkness. And so what is being done here is projection for self-preservation. And we all go through this. We all go through, we're constantly learning new things, and we're opening up our mind, and we're exploring things. We're going down different kinds of rabbit holes. We're looking into different kinds of theories. We're listening to other people's experiences, and there is nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we also have to remember that there is a line here where we have to constantly be checking in with our own discernment, our own common sense of, okay, this could be true. How much of this is really resonating with me, and why is it resonating with me? And why do I feel pulled to this, or why do I feel pushed away from this? What is the real reason? Is it because it's just not for me, or is it because I'm starting to feel uncomfortable? We're really being forced to have to get very comfortable with a lot of our discomforts. There are a lot of things that are making us uncomfortable at this time because change is inevitably uncomfortable for us. And so it's important to understand that the more in a polarity that you find yourself in, it's going to be like a deer. You're going to find yourself like a deer in headlights at varying points throughout the year as you're awakening to more and more, because the truth is things are quickening. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but there's speed like never before when it comes to the illusion of time. Okay, like it just feels like we're moving through, even though like most of us would be looking at these last few years as probably some of the shittiest years of our lifetime, and then of course that's a perception. Of course we can shift the perception and look at this as a beautiful time. There is a deep awakening happening, a deep awakening. Don't ever forget that. It is happening to everyone, including those who still consider themselves awakened. There are always new things to be awakening to. And there are things that we've awakened to and we'll start to realize, ooh, that was only partially true. Some of that was disinformation. Some of that was illusion. Some of that was my own need to project something there because I wanted it to be true. Whatever it might be. So just know that there will be moments of where you just don't even know what to do. It'll cause like paralysis. So this is why it's helpful for us to start really truly getting honest with ourselves. Okay, where have I been pulled into this polarity of narrative, or where have I been pulled in, and why did I want to stay there, or why do I find it hard to leave there, or why do I not want to leave there? Like whatever it might be, just start getting really honest with yourself. Okay. The next thing that I also got was be careful. There are many ways to slip and fall in 2022 when it comes to direction and trust. Take your time assimilating information and sitting with the resonance properly, which means consciously. Much is flying in at warp speeds, often intentionally to cause confusion and diffusion of potency. Be grounded, stay present, know your truth, and you will be solid. So here's the thing, and this is why I talk about the importance of healing. The more that you start to unravel let's just call it the narrative of yourself from like your childhood until this present day, the more you start to truly pull back all the layers and get a good sense of who you are. And the more that you feel comfortable with who you are, the less easy it is for you to be shaken off your foundation, because you're starting to build a solid foundation within yourself, a foundation that you can stand on. And so even though if people may try to knock you off your foundation, that foundation is literally part of you. You can't be knocked off it. You might wobble a little bit. Maybe it's not completely crystallized yet. That's okay. But, it's important to really do the healing work. And as I say that, we have a new moon in Capricorn on the 2nd, 3rd of January. And it's a super moon. I don't know if you guys saw it. I saw it this morning when I was driving to the gym, and it just like that little tiny crescent. And it was, it's pretty big. It's pretty close to the earth right now. And the new moon in Capricorn is kind of setting the tone for this new year. It's being so close to literally the new year for us, and at least the calendar year. And so the new moon in Capricorn is all about doing the work. It's about not cutting corners. It's about really getting honest with what's working and what's not working. And if it's not working, it has to go. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's about streamlining things. And I think at this point, many of us are really tired. I really wanted to swear right there. I really wanted to F-bomb. But I think we're fucking tired. I think we're fucking tired of all of the different narrative shapings that are going on. I'm just tired of it. I don't want to give my energy to it anymore. Like, I'm so over it. I'm just over it. And I'm like, all of this time I could have been like spending more time creating other things. And it's okay. It's okay because, like clearly this was all part of our past, my path, and understanding things. But like, where are we truly still giving our power away, which is our focus? It's our energy, right? How we utilize it is still giving power away if we're not truly utilizing it in the best way that we know how, without the influence of all of these things that are shifting and changing and recircling and like recycling and all of this stuff. And it's like, I'm so tired of whoever's narrative this is. Like, I'm so tired. I don't want to play in this movie. I don't want to watch this movie anymore. I want to create my own. I want to know what I'm capable of. I want to know how fast can I manifest something, and can I shift it? Can I change it? Can I what can I truly do? What is this skin suit really capable of? Like, I'm really, really wanting to explore that. And I think that with this ability to have higher potentials for 2022, I just see that there will be, I think, really beautiful openings and awakenings for those of us who are truly ready to sit within the 0 point and really discover let's just call it, really discover the technology of our skin suit, the technology of our own DNA. All right. What are we truly capable of? And that excites me, to be quite honest. That excites me. So the next message I got is stop playing in other people's controlled reality loops. Create your own that is not on repeat of everything that you don't want. Because ultimately, when we look at all this stuff, whatever it might be, it's not what I think any of us truly want to be spending our time reading about or learning about, or I should say like rehashing, right? And it's just really total distraction. And I know a lot of us know that, but it's so easy to get stuck and pulled into that reality loop of someone else's reality. And this message has come up over the last couple of years where we really need to be mindful of whose timeline we're actually creating. How much time are you truly spending on your own individual timeline that you as a sole individual, okay, want to create here? What is it that you're doing to truly truly reveal your own capabilities? What it is that you're here to create in this world? Your mission, how you're going to be of service, how you're going to love. And we really, the 0 point is the bridge. It is the bridge of the polarities. It's the void between the polarities. And the more that we focus on being the bridge, the sooner we finally cross into the timeline of that more newer earth kind of concept, right? That we all feel, we know in our hearts that there's truth to that. But, to create it, you can't create it at the extreme ends of the polarities. Now, you may learn things from the extreme ends of the polarities, but you can't create the bridge from the extremities. You have to be the bridge. And in order to be the bridge, you have to know that both sides are equally important, that they're necessary. So So just be mindful of the controlled reality loops that you're finding yourself in, and do you really want to continue participating in it? Do you? I know I don't. I was like, I'm bored. I'm really bored with it. Okay, instead of looking at your differences, look harder for your common ground. Find it. It exists. And this common ground is essential in breaking the spell of division you currently play in. Break the spell in 2022. So I, for one, would love to see more of us really breaking that spell of division that continuously is being perpetuated upon us. Division between our family members, our friends, our communities, whatever it might be. There just seems to be like this crazy division where we can't even have conversations anymore, and we can't find that common ground of why the relationships are there in the first place. And I think at the end of the day, what we truly understand is that we all have more in common than we have not in common. We're just scared. Things are changing. And that's the thing with fear. Fear, when we get really scared, we kind of retreat into a place that feels safe, right? But it's an illusion of safety. It's a total illusion of safety. Because truly all it's doing is taking us further and further apart from the very thing our heart yearns for, which is love and compassion and unity, togetherness. One of the things that I'm so excited about this podcast coming up on Tuesday. Guys, I am so excited. It involves Tim Ballard. It involves Operation Underground Railroad. It involves the children. And, I think one of the things that we may have lost sight on, which can happen, is that we've all pretty much understood that those of us who really understand what's going on in this world when it comes to human trafficking is that it was always going to be the children that brought us back together. And that innocence, that truth within the children that I think many of us forget through our own trauma and pain. I really feel like this might be the pinnacle of everything that brings us back together and makes us really question, like, why am I fighting with this person over that when this is what really needs our attention? Like, why am I so up in arms about this person doing that, or this person not agreeing with me, or, whatever it might be, like whatever it might be that is causing us to freak out. Okay. We all really need to take that step back. We all really need to kind of retreat back to the 0 point field and really reassess what is important to me, what matters. What matters to my own personal mission, what matters to my own heart. And how is that getting derailed? And how do I get like this reality check, Because when we look at, okay, you know how there's like the show, the Bravo TV show, the Real Housewives series, and if you ever watch that show, you look at these women and they fight over the most ridiculous things, like the things, and they're crying and they're they're just losing their shit over shit where most of us are like, are you freaking serious? These are your problems? And I feel like that's where we're at as a society right now. We're no better than that. I feel like we're fighting over things that truly, I think we just need a reality check in essence of, hold on, we've been playing in someone else's reality that really truly doesn't necessarily need to matter that much. Because ultimately, you are the creator of your own reality. How you are participating or experiencing it is completely your choice. This is why we have free will. And you can shift that and change that just in the way that you perceive it, but as well as how you are emotionally responding to everything, right? And so I feel like maybe it's time for us to just take a breather. Maybe we need something like all of this to just give us a bit of that, cosmic 2x4 slapping us across the face, the universe giving us a bit of a bitch slap and saying, okay, no. Like, I need to regroup. I may have lost my mind temporarily for a couple of years, okay? But it's time to regroup. So, yeah. And then, was there anything else here? The last question I want to ask you guys here before I close out is, what potential can you harness through the void of the polarities? Okay, what potential can you harness through that 0-point field? And sit with that in your meditation, sit with that in reflection, and then also reflect on what you've manifested when you find yourself polarized. Because we all do. We all find ourselves polarized. We probably find ourselves polarized at varying points just within the day. Okay? And where is the judgment? How much are you judging yourself, or how much are you judging a situation or other people or whatever it is? Because this is one of the big messages that came through on my podcast with Consuelo a few months ago, back in September. And the big message that she got was, don't judge. Find your way to get back to the 0 point when you're finding yourself in judgment. Use gratitude, okay, as your way to enter the 0-point field. Find gratitude for something, anything, and release it. Just release it. Like, why are we still caring so much about what other people are doing or how they're living their life? That is the very definition of needing to control things. And if we still participate in the control structures of this reality in that way, if we're not willing to let go and just focus on what we can control within our own reality, we are still perpetuating a very vicious cycle that I think none of us truly really want deep down, but it's so programmed into us, And we're buying into these ideas, other people's ideas that, if someone doesn't do this, then I'm screwed. Or if someone does do that, I'm screwed. Or like, it just sets us all back. Humanity just gets set back years and years. We were making so much headway. And now, there's just, isn't it exhausting? I'm just getting exhausted listening to myself talk about it right now. So anyway, 2022, it's a 6th year. Okay, remember that. It is about unity. It is about harmony. It is about compassion, loving relationships, and domestic happiness. How are you working to create that? Or how are you working to destroy that? It's time for us to get really honest about this stuff. This is the whole spiritual journey. We have to be willing to look at ourselves. We have to be willing to look at where we may have taken a wrong turn. We always do. We always will. It's inevitable. It's part of the journey. But we have to also remember that course correction is also part of the journey. It's and again, it's like when I think about that yin yang symbol, okay, and it's got that line through it separating the dark and the white, and like the black and the white, and then the 2 dots, and we're constantly going in and out of polarities. Some of us are going like this but, and again, no judgment, because I truly believe that some of us who have needed to go into the total extreme of the polarities is so that you can actually see the other extreme of beauty and wisdom that is available from the opposite side of that. But we ultimately don't ever want to lose our way of navigating back in. We always want our compass tuned into that void within the polarities. So it's our home base, right? It's our home base where we come back, we reset, okay, I get it now. Okay, now time to go out and learn some more stuff. So, I believe that 2022 is going to be an amazing opportunity for us to really start bridging the gap, to really find the 0 point in our own personal lives. And I think that's where all of us really need to put most of our focus this year. not on the globe, but on our own personal lives, just for, I think, sanity's sake, to give ourselves a fighting chance in what it is that we know we can create. So, that's my message here for 2022, and what I think is going to be coming. And just also be mindful that, recapping on that deer in headlights message that I got, that I do feel like many of us are going to be blindsided with certain truths on both sides of the aisle that we weren't expecting, and we're not going to know what to do with it. And I think it's going to shake the foundation a little further. The only thing that I can say, though, to assist in that is just, remember the 0 point. Remember the 0 point. Always default back to that whenever you can, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And you'll be working to transcend this mess that, the world seems to be finding itself in. So manifestation, I think, is going to be a key element of 2022. I think the potential for manifestation is really high. It's just a matter of taking everything that we've learned over the last couple of years and amping up our own spiritual wisdom, okay, and how we apply it. Because this has been a huge learning curve for a lot of us. The last couple of years have been quite the spiritual study group experience, I think. I think we've learned a lot, and I think it's important because I think the best things that we do learn are through the teacher of experience, and all of us are experiencing a lot of that right now. So how beautiful is it that we collectively are going through very similar things, that we're all kind of learning these lessons and going through this global thing, which I don't think has really, it's very unprecedented for this planet because we've never had access to understanding how the entire globe is reacting to something, how we're all engaged in something. So this is very unprecedented where it can work for us, but it can work against us, as always. And we obviously are seeing how it is working against us, but it's also really important to remember that, this is big what we're going through. So we can shift this if we're more aware, and we're all kind of leaning like, okay, the more I'm in acceptance of, and when I say acceptance, just being at peace, be at peace with whatever reality someone else wants to live in, so that you can find that peace within your own reality and have that mirrored back to you. And I think when we talk about the levels of consciousness, peace is the highest vibration after, just before enlightenment. So peace is such an important, peace is the 0 point. Peace literally is the 0 point. So harnessing peace within ourselves, finding peace with our reality, and again, I want to make this clear, being at peace with something does not mean you are surrendering to it and giving up. It's not what that means. Peace means you are at peace with things and you are embracing it and you are utilizing it, and you're going to find the potential and you're going to manifest and you're going to make it work for you. That's what you can do through peace. Okay? It has nothing to do with giving up. Nothing to do with giving. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's totally utilizing your energy in the most powerful way, as opposed to it being controlled and subjugated to things outside of you. All right. So I hope that this video was helpful to you guys. Do you guys have any questions that you want to ask me before I jump off here? We're getting a big snowstorm here in Colorado. Thank goodness. The fires that happened yesterday were just insane. So we're getting a huge snowstorm shortly, which will be very much needed for those. Hi, Lala. Everyone go check out Lala's YouTube channel, her music. She's got such great music coming out. Oh, it resonated with you. You're welcome, sweetie. Craig, how do we find unity with people who can't and don't want to understand us? Interactions with people who believe the mainstream narrative are inherently negative, and I avoid it. Okay, so that's a great question. There is always going to be common ground. Here's the thing. it's like I said, are you not tired of talking about it? Are there not other things that you can talk about with people other than COVID, vaccines, the virus, Omicron? Like there are so many other things that are going on. They've got to be going on in your life that, like just things that are very personal to you, that you may be going through. I think it's important that we start connecting beyond those narratives. It's not to say that there's not importance in them, okay? It's just the narrative is constantly fluctuating and going this way and that way. And it's so that we're constantly needing to talk about it, And so my advice to you, Craig, is look for the common ground that you have in your relationships with people. And if you feel so compelled to talk about the mainstream narratives or the opposite of the mainstream narratives all the time, ask yourself, is this something I would have done 5 years ago? Would I have only talked about the news? This is what I think is one of the problems with social media, is that it has created a world where we live in where it's all we talk about. I remember life not too long ago where, and this is probably only 5 to 10 years ago, where I would talk about things so far removed from what was on the news or so far removed from what was like in any narrative, whether it's mainstream or alternative, whatever it is, and it doesn't mean to say that you can't have those conversations, but we've got to find a balance here, right? Because 6 is the balance between 3 and 9. And we've got to look for that neutrality. We've got to find okay, what other things though are going on in my life? And if they aren't, why am I not nurturing that? Why am I giving so much of my energy to a reality that is outside of me? Okay. So that's what I would say there. Big Rainbow Wizard, I've stopped judging years ago. It's still frustrating to see so many conforming, which in turn is affecting so many more. Here's the thing, and I totally understand that. Here's the thing is that what is beautiful about all of this is when we see such extremities of polarities happening, what that will also do is create a collapse within the actual timeline. Believe it or not, when there are these huge extremities happening, it will just cause almost like a glitch, a total collapse, almost like a power outage, okay, where the timeline just collapsed. And so for those of us who are starting to find that middle ground and not wanting to judge and really just wanting to be like, okay, I know it's hard for this person, or they're going through this, or they're totally in this belief, or whatever it is that they just can't let go of. They keep wanting to fuel this story. They keep wanting to fuel that story, whatever it might be. Let it go and let them do it. It's part of their journey. It's part of the journey. The only way to find yourself back to center is to go to the extremes. And that's why I say it's not a bad thing to be in the extremes. We like to judge it as bad, or believing in one thing versus another thing, whatever that might be. But it's truly just part of the journey. And so when we can just be in acceptance, oh, okay, they're at this part of the journey. Cool. And then just let it be. Just let it be. It's like that Frozen movie. Let it go. Let it go. That movie was so bang on. It really should be a theme that we constantly subscribe to and remember. Israel, there were similar fires in Argentina. I hope that everyone is okay there. One dad, son lover, you're so cute. Thank you. Pull a card. You guys want me to pull cards? Why don't I do that? Okay. Let me just okay, let me pull some cards. Let's close this out with some cards. Okay. Let's see here. For 2022, any final messages here to close out the video? Messages that will be beneficial for us navigating the energies of 2022, heading into the year. What do we need to know? All right. getting hot. I'm already sweating. I love it when that happens. That's how I know my energy is just like tuning in like laser beam. Okay. What do we need to know about 2022? Messages here. Messages for 2022. Okay. We got one. I'm going to put that away. I'm going to pull from this, my Wild Unknown archetype deck. I love the card that came out though, guys. Okay. Oh yeah, for you guys in my alchemy, like, so I did a timeless reading. I do one every month for those of you in my alchemy program, and I did a complete freestyle, and I just loved it. And I kind of want to do that for you guys on the channel, like a similar reading. So maybe I'll do something where it's not necessarily all signs, but not. So let's see here. Okay, 2022 messages. What else do we need to know? Accompanying message. Ooh, very interesting. Okay, and then I'm going to pull one tarot card to go with it. All right. Whew. Final message here to accompany the 2022 messages. Final messages do we have here? Oh, interesting. Yes, I love it. Okay. Okay. So the first card that came out here from my Magical Dimensions deck is Illumination, Expression, Positivity of Joy, Inspiration. Okay. And so this card came out with the Queen. So the Queen, which is a divine feminine archetype here. And then the tarot card that is accompanying this is the Seven of Pentacles. Ooh, it's kind of doing some funny stuff on the card there. Okay, so the Seven of Pentacles. So when I see this message, actually, I just really want to quickly go into the book here on the Queen, because this is about finding power through the feminine energy, knowing. And again, this is why, like, you know, the feminine, the masculine energy is about our mind, right? It's our logic, and it's a very necessary part of the experience here. But I do feel like with 2022, 6, I feel like, first of all, to me, 6 is a very feminine number. Probably because it looks like a pregnant belly. Like when you have the 6, like that's the first thing that I'm thinking of. And I do get Empress energy right now off the Queen. It's speaking to me in that way. So let me just see here. Yeah, okay, the Empress, the Mother Queen, the Sovereign. Okay, and that's important too, because we've got to look at our own energetic sovereignty, right? And how we're creating things. So like her counterpart, the King, the Queen has a dualistic nature. Either she presides over the realm with grace and eloquence that comes from the heavens to uplift the spirit of others, or she falls into petty, contemptuous moods, casting a shadow across the land. And I can see how a lot of us have fallen prey to that, you know, that side of the Queen energy, which is our own divine feminine energy, of like the moodiness and the emotional, like chargedness of like reactionary things, like being triggered and all of that. So if the King is the ego, the Queen is the expression of that ego in the world. She is the lotus's bloom, the dancer's bow, the moon's radiant reflection. When the Queen is seated in her rightful and righteous place, she is patient and forgiving. And this is important. And this is, patience and forgiveness to me are qualities of the 0 point field. They truly are. So I love how this is kind of coming up. To be the benevolent leader, to embody the Queen, is to settle into deep trust, resolve, and power. The royal queen fears nothing, for divinity itself cradles her heart. The royal queen fears nothing, for divinity itself cradles her heart. So again, this is like just telling me that so many of us are being called into a little bit more of our feminine energy for 2022, and to really understand what it means to hold our own divine power, to be the cradle in our own temple of our body, okay, of that divine energy. And there is so much illuminating for us in 2022. It is going to be a very highly illuminating year in many ways. I do feel like more is going to get exposed. But if that means that things outside of us are getting exposed, then things within us are getting exposed. And that's a good thing, right? But we've got to be prepared to see that. Because if we're not prepared to see the things that we need to expose within our own selves, then how the heck can we expect anyone to be accepting of the things that get exposed when they do, right? Now, with the Seven of Pentacles coming up here, this is telling me that this is a time to be planting your seeds, really. And then we talk about your own consciousness. What seeds are you planting in your own consciousness? What are you nurturing? What is it that you really want to manifest? Okay, because you really want to harness the light and the bright side of the Queen archetype through this year. Understand, especially if the Queen is the lotus's bloom, the lotus flower cannot bloom until it has gone through the darkness, right? So all of the illumination actually happens deep below the surface. So we need to allow that to happen. And sometimes we need to have some patience with the Seven of Pentacles because there's some waiting. And so patience, I think, is going to be a key theme here for 2022, to just remember, be patient. Be patient with yourself, be patient with others, be patient with this whole experience. Okay, and focus on what it is that you can create. I do see that with the Seven of Pentacles here, this is a beautiful time. This is a really beautiful year to really focus on what it is that you want. What is it that you're nurturing? What is it that you want to water? And what is it that you do not want to invest in anymore because it's not serving you? It's actually depleting you. Perhaps you're realizing that what you've been watering are just simply weeds. And it's time to pull those weeds out. They're not part of the garden anymore. So those are my 3 cards here for 2022. I love it. It's really in alignment with everything that I've been getting. So just further confirmations. And just, remember that, in the times of darkness, those of us who can find the ability to express our joy and our positivity will end up being inspiration for those who cannot yet. So be an inspiration, be that light. Find a way to do that if you're in a position that you can. Okay, if you're really finding yourself in a really powerful position within your own field, know that, for those who cannot find their own joy and positivity in the situation, just model it, be it, exude it, and inspire others just simply through that alone. And I think that this can be an uplifting year if we choose to move through the more peacefulness aspect of the 0 point field. All right, guys. So I will be back with you guys on Tuesday for a very big podcast. I'm going to be having 3 guests on with me, and I can't wait to announce some very big news talking about seeds of manifestation. This is one that I definitely have been watering since the summer, and I am so happy that it's now coming into bloom, and only part of it is because there is another beautiful aspect that I know you guys are just going to fall in love with. I feel so honored to be a part of this at the ground level, at least the ground level of how it's coming out right now. It's not necessarily a ground level venture, but anything that we can do to bring our children home to safety, to me, is where I'd like to put my focus, and the healing nature of that. I think when we start to really understand the importance of healing our own childhood trauma and how that allows us to connect back to our own innocence, okay, our own child self, that we start to see the potential in ourselves. We start to see what we're truly able to manifest because we're now tapping into that joy and we're tapping into the white light of the innocence of the childlike energy. And when we operate as a society only from our traumas, then no wonder that this human trafficking and child sex trafficking is such a problem in our world that is very secretive and not talked about. So we're going to bring some light to it on Tuesday. And I hope to see many of you there in the live chat because we will be taking some questions. All right, guys, have a happy new year. Really just tap into that 0 point portal is your heart, guys. That 0 point field is your heart. It is a portal into the timelines that you really desire to be manifesting right now. So just really sit with that, focus on that energy, and set your intentions for 2022 going in. Your intentions going into the year are super powerful right now, especially with that new moon in Capricorn. And just be ready to do the work. Be ready to show up for yourself. Be ready to create and get rid of anything that is getting in your way. All right, guys, lots of love, and I'll be back with you in the new